Imagine that you are incomplete. Imagine that an essential part of your body, once revered by wise shamans and alchemists, has been ignored, silenced, reduced to a worthless evolutionary remnant. What if this forgotten fragment was actually one of the most powerful keys to releasing the excess energy that burdens you, makes you ill, and distorts your energy field? The COCCYX, that small bony structure at the end of your spine, often derided as a remnant of our animal heritage, is in truth a sacred antenna, an etheric tail, an anchor between your energy and that of Mother Earth, a channel that, when activated, can release the energetic charge that the modern mind accumulates without knowing how to discharge it. It is not a simple bone, but a point of contact with the invisible. Through it flows the most primal connection. Telluric energy, the vibration of the earth, the memory of the planet, the magnetic impulse that sustains and renews life in the esoteric world. Every channel without a discharge becomes a latent danger, just like an electrical circuit. Must be grounded to avoid overload. The energetic body needs the same balance. Without this connection, we are like lightning trapped in bottles. Have you ever felt like you're carrying other people's emotions? Do you feel drained with a cloudy mind, or like something inside you is about to explode? Maybe you don't need more head meditation. Maybe you need to look much deeper. In this video, we'll explore one of the least understood and most profoundly transformative truths of the body: human energetics, the spiritual function of the COCCYX as a grounding tail. We journey through the echoes of ancient traditions. We discover how the sages of lost civilizations already understood its power and reveal the practical keys to activating this vital connection. You'll learn why excess, accumulated energy can become a spiritual poison, how you can release this energy naturally and safely, and why understanding your energetic tail can make the difference between chaos and inner harmony. This is not just another video, but an invitation to reconnect with the primal, the authentic, the electric of your being. For when you remember that you are a creature of the sky, yes, but also of the earth, then your energy finds its channel, your power its purpose, and it all begins at the base of your spine. Since the dawn of human consciousness, our ancestors have sensed a truth that modern science is only just beginning to glimpse. The human body is a bridge between the worlds, not just flesh, bone, and blood, but also channels of energy, vibration centers, and antennas that capture and transmit subtle frequencies within this sacred framework. The COCCYX, this small bony extension at the end of the spine, was once considered a key point for connecting with telluric energy, the life force of the earth. In the traditions of Andean shamanism, for example, there was talk of the silver cord and the earth cord. The first connected the soul to higher planes, the second anchored the spirit in the material world. The earth cord was born. Curiously, yogis in Tibet taught that the Kundalini energy rested at the base of the spine, and only those who learned to release and direct this power from its roots could reach the highest levels of enlightenment. The spine itself was considered a cosmic tree. In Hindu tradition, the Sushumna, the central energy channel, originated from the Muladhara chakra at the base of the spine, precisely where the COCCYX rests. This point, it was more than a physical center. It was the locked gateway to the underworld, the hub where the hidden life force rested, waiting to be directed purposefully. Even in Christian mysticism, although we find traces of this ancient consciousness in a more veiled form, some apocryphal and Gnostic texts speak of the secret fire that must awaken from the sacrum so that the soul can ascend purified. It is significant that this fire begins not in the head or heart, but in the lowest, most earthly realm. Modern thought, however, has invalidated this knowledge and allowed the COCCYX to be forgotten as a vestigial tale with no discernible function. Cultures living in harmony with nature, however, would never have made this mistake. For them, everything had a hidden purpose, a sacred design, a meaningful geometry. The body was a temple, and the COCCYX was the hidden cornerstone of the altar. In Taoist inner alchemy, the connection to the earth is essential for transmuting the excess inner fire created through energetic practice. Those who don't learn to direct the hot qi to the earth risk exhausting their bodies and going insane. Here, too, the COCCYX is not just an anatomical structure, but a valve, an energetic root, a spiritual survival tool. Thus, the same message has been repeated since time immemorial and on every continent. To ascend, one must first master the descent. To fly high, one must be deeply rooted, and the secret of this rootedness lies silently at the base of the spine. To understand the true function of the coccyx as an energetic tail or spiritual antenna, we must leave the purely physical paradigm in the esoteric model of the human being. The physical body is only a layer, a dense reflection of more subtle structures, energetic bodies, auric fields, invisible channels through which vital energy, or prana, or chi, flows. Depending on the tradition we consult within this subtle framework, the coccyx is located as the root of an energetic column that not only supports the body but also channels the forces that they constantly pierce us. On the surface, it appears like a simple, lifeless bone, but in the energetic dimension, it's a kind of plug, a socket that may or may not be connected to the Earth's energy. Consider a thunderstorm for a moment. When excessive electrical charge accumulates in the clouds, it must eventually be discharged. If this doesn't happen, it becomes a threat and can produce a destructive lightning bolt. The same thing happens with our energetic body. Unprocessed emotions, persistent tension, stress, envy of others, even repetitive and obsessive thoughts, all of this creates a charge. We accumulate emotional electricity as if we were clouds on the edge of a storm. Where should this energy go? The body has a perfect design for releasing it. The coccyx, this is the point of contact with the negative pole of the system. The Earth, in bioelectrical terms, acts as a literal grounding connection. Without this discharge, the energy remains trapped in the system, and imbalances begin, leading to insomnia, anxiety, mental confusion, and hypersensitivity. Mental and even physical illnesses that do not respond to visible causes. That is why many teachers in advanced meditation practices insist on the posture of a straight spine, a coccyx in contact with the ground, and relaxed legs. It is not just about comfort or alignment, but about opening this lower channel to allow the energy that is not part of our essence to return to its source, the Earth. When the coccyx is consciously activated, it becomes a kind of energetic root, just as trees do not. They can sustain themselves without sinking their roots into the earth. We cannot maintain heightened states of consciousness unless we unload what weighs us down. And this is where the analogy becomes so powerful. A tree does not fight gravity. It surrenders to it. The strength lies not in resistance, but in directing its weight downward. Likewise, it is not about suppressing, fighting, or even ignoring negative energy. It is about letting it flow where it belongs, downward to the magnetic core that transforms all. The Earth, with its own energy, absorbs, recycles, and transforms, but only if we allow it, only if we open the channel, only if we stop denying the power of the coccyx. In many sacred movement systems such as Qigong, Kundalini Yoga, or even certain tribal dances, the undulating movements of the spine, the tapping of the sacrum on the ground, and the postures in which the coccyx points toward the earth are not accidental but embodied spiritual technology. They are intended to activate the energy tail that connects us to the matrix, planetary energetics, and the most revealing thing is that when this channel is activated, we feel it not in the mind, but in the body. It is perceived as a heat that goes downwards, a subtle humming, a weight that dissolves, a sudden clarity. The body breathes better, the heart calms, thoughts are effortlessly ordered. It is the relief of lightning that finds its way to earth. In the first part of our exploration, we discovered how the coccyx functions as an energetic antenna, a channel to earth that allows release excess energy that has accumulated in the body. However, it is important to understand that this connection to the earth is not simply a passive discharge process, but a dynamic interaction, an energetic dance between two poles, the earthly and the human. This exchange not only purifies, but transforms when we consciously activate the coccyx. When we surrender to this telluric connection, we participate in an alchemical process of transmutation. In alchemy, all work is directed towards releasing the lead of the dense matter in the gold of spiritual light. Similarly, the coccyx allows our dense energy, our emotional shadow, to be transmuted into something subtler, lighter, higher. This process of transmutation is not immediate or automatic and requires awareness, patience, and practice. The earth not only acts as a simple receiver of negative energy, but also teaches us how to release it in a way that does not harm our life energy. She is a silent teacher who guides us in the art of releasing what it burdens us without consuming us. But why doesn't everyone seem to feel this effect equally? Here we face a delicate question. Our own receptivity, just as a plant cannot grow without sun and water, depends on our openness and inner attitude, so does our ability to connect with the earth. The COCCYX, in its energetic essence, is a conduit that can be blocked, tense, or inactive. Trauma, repressed emotions, chronic tension, limiting beliefs, and even influences can be the cause. External influences of everyday life can block this system. Imagine the tailbone as a channel through which electricity flows. If this channel is blocked, the energy cannot flow properly, and the discharge is interrupted. This explains why many people, despite spiritual practices, are unable to fully release their negative energy. They lack the flexibility and willingness to surrender to the earth's process. Liberation is not a struggle against oneself, but a deep surrender to the flow. Natural energy. The power of the COCCYX as an energy conductor also has a direct relationship to the balance of the left and right hemispheres of the brain, represented respectively by the positive right leg and the negative left leg. It is a dance between opposites, a kind of balance that must be achieved for the system to function at maximum capacity. Grounding is not simply a discharge of negative energy, but also a process of integrating opposites. The fire of our creative energy, the earth of our inner peace, the light of our consciousness, the darkness of our shadow. In this sense, the COCCYX functions as a hinge, with one leg connected to the sky, the right leg, and the other to the earth, the left leg. The body becomes a bridge that allows the flow of energy to be restored in a harmonious way. The tail, connected to the earth, is not just a discharge of energy, it is an integration of the cosmic forces that make us up. It is a circle that closes. A complete transformation. When we speak of negative energy in this context, we are not referring to a moral or ethical notion of evil, but rather to dense accumulated energy that has not found its way out. It is stress, fear, frustration, emotions from an unresolved past, the energies of others that unintentionally influence us, and since everything that accumulates stagnates, it becomes something toxic. Here comes the metaphor of lightning again. If we do not discharge this energy, our system can become overloaded, and what should be a flow becomes a threat. The key is to learn to consciously open this channel through physical movement, deep breathing, and certain meditation postures. We can activate the tailbone and release excess, trapped energy. However, it is also necessary to be willing to face what is released, as the discharge is not always smooth or pleasant. Often, we let go of what truly needs to be released, what we have stored in the darkest corners of our being. Fear, pain, guilt. Knowing that the COCCYX is an energetic tail, a sacred antenna that connects us to the earth, is not enough. Knowledge without practice is like a seed without fertile soil. We must bring this truth into the body, into movement, into everyday life. The question is, how do we do this in a world that constantly draws us to the mind and separates us from the body? The first step is simple but revolutionary. Pay attention to your foundation. In a world that glorifies the mind and thinking, it is important to focus attention on the lowest part of the spine. Almost an act of spiritual resistance. Do it daily. Sit with your spine straight and without rigidity, and focus your attention on your tailbone. Think of it not as a bone, but as an etheric root descending from this point to the center of the planet. Imagine it extending like a tail of deep, dark, magnetic light, burrowing into the earth and forming a channel through which everything you no longer need begins to descend. Tensions, dense emotions, circling thoughts feel like gravity far from being a force that crushes you becomes your ally, the mother who receives what you can no longer hold. Second tip: walk barefoot whenever you can, especially on earth, grass and sand. It's not just a wellness trend, it's a sacred act. Our feet are extensions of this lower channel. When you walk barefoot, you stimulate energy points that reactivate the grounding. You close the circuit. You remind your body that it's not just made of air or thought, it's clay, mineral, weight with meaning. Third, dance, but not just any dance. Move your hips, your pelvis, and let your sacrum breathe. Don't dance to please, but to be free. Dance like the ancients, like the native peoples who knew that movement was not entertainment but invocation. By shaking your lower spine, you release the tensions that block the flow to the earth. is a powerful way to open the fourth channel. If you feel emotionally overloaded or mentally broken, don't go any further into your lower consciousness. Sit on the floor, not on a chair, but directly on the floor. Contact with the ground, close your eyes, breathe towards your tailbone. Imagine that from there a downward spiral is created that pulls all the weight towards the center of the earth. You don't have to solve anything in your head. Just let the earth absorb it. This is her fifth and final gift. Honor your tail. Change the inner narrative. Stop seeing it as a useless bone. Talk to it. Set intention. In some Taoist practices, it is physically stimulated with gentle blows or vibrations to wake it up. You can also do it with awareness. If you were to say to him, "Remember why you are here. Help me to let go." These tips are not empty techniques, but modern rituals for reactivating an ancient spiritual technology. For spirituality lies not only in the ether, but also in the density we enter, what we feel deep in the body. And when you learn to detach from your base, everything else becomes easier in a world obsessed with ascending. Perhaps the most radical act is to learn to descend. On this journey, we have explored a truth not usually contained in anatomy books nor in conventional spiritual discourses. The COCCYX, this small bone at the end of the spine, is not a simple evolutionary remnant. It is an energetic tail, a forgotten route, an escape route for the storms that we accumulate within us. And it is no coincidence that this part of our body has been forgotten. The system that educates, shapes, and controls us wants us to be separate, wants us to think calculatingly, that we are trapped in the mind. But the COCCYX reminds us of something essential, that we are also earth, that our spirit does not float but springs from the depths. Everything that does not descend remains trapped. So many people live overloaded with emotions, tensions, thoughts that repeat themselves endlessly. They try to ascend without roots, in search of the light, without having reconciled themselves with their darkness. And then spirituality becomes fragile, superficial, unsustainable, because there is no true ascent without a previous descent. The esoteric secret that you have discovered today is simple but powerful: the energy. It is not eliminated by fighting it, but released by channeling it. And this channel begins deep within you, at your base, in your tailbone. The tailbone offers you a door, an exit for the superfluous, an anchor for your soul, a space of integration where the dense becomes light, where the heavy finds its place. It's not about becoming less spiritual by being rooted. On the contrary, the deeper you are connected to the earth, the higher you can ascend without breaking, because your energy flows, because you are not in conflict with your shadows, because you are not afraid of what lies deep within you. So I now leave you with an invitation that is more than advice. Listen to your body, look down on what you ignore, ask yourself what would happen if you honored your roots as much as you honor your crown, and if right there at the base of your spine lay the key to finding balance, and if connecting with the earth was the missing step to activating your full potential. Then remember that the earth not only receives but also teaches. She transforms. She also guides. And if this revelation resonated with you, if you felt an echo in your body, or a forgotten truth in your soul, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel to continue exploring the mysteries of being, and share this message with other spiritual wanderers. For there are those who still don't remember their tale, and you could be the channel that awakens them. See you in the next portal. Until then, put down roots and remember who you are.